This is where you should accumulate or just even hold on to your Bitcoin. Don't sell them in the loss if you bought all the way up here, because this is what they need. In this video, we're going to find out why the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin might be dead and why, yes, we could expect that this bull market is going to continue. We saw this downwards trend and this major capitulation because a lot of people are selling their Bitcoin holdings. But guys, let me tell you something. This is just once again a major manipulation, and we could expect that the most amount of money is going to flow back into Bitcoin, and that we could expect that this dump towards the downside is going to end extremely fast. We're going to look at the charts, the news, and we're also going to find out why the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin might be dead and what we could expect in the future. And we're going to look at the immediate short term to find out what we could expect. Are we going to see this relief bounce and come once again back above the 100,000 US dollars? We're going to find out all of that in today's video. So if you want to find out more, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button, and welcome back to B4Crypto. If you want to trade and buy crypto on the spot market, make sure to sign up to Blowfin, where you receive a major deposit bonus. But ultimately guys, we're going to first of all look at the daily chart of Bitcoin. We can see that Bitcoin reached a high, and then we saw this major capitulation all the way back down to 80,800 US dollars, and now we can see that the price movement saw a perfect bounce at these levels, round about the psychological level of 80,000 US dollars, all the way at these levels where we could see that the price movers previously saw a major bounce exactly from these regions. So ultimately guys, are we going to see this continuation towards the upside? And if you've been following my channel, yes guys, you know exactly what I'm thinking of major manipulations that we saw before, because ultimately guys, all the way from the all-time high all the way to the low was a dump of 36%. And yes guys, this is absolutely normal within a bull cycle, because if we zoom out, we can see that exactly here within this consolidation we saw a dump of 31%. If we even go back to May 2024, once again a sideways accumulation, a dump of 33%, and afterwards we saw this major breakout. And yes guys, it is happening throughout this bull cycle. We saw this major first consolidation where all these major institutions started to buy Bitcoin, Michael Saylor, and we saw once again a sideways consolidation, which is maximum pain driving all the retail investors out. They thought that we're going to see sub 20,000 US dollar level once again. And yes guys, the market turned around, and once again exactly within these levels, all these major corporations were accumulating from all the retail, all the weak hands that are selling into the markets. This happened exactly here, exactly all the way in these levels. Maximum pain, sideways consolidation, capitulation, all the weak hands selling to all these major corporations. They've scooped up all this Bitcoin, and we saw this continuation. Once again, sideways accumulation phase, maximum pain, capitulations, all the small investors getting out of the market exactly here at maximum pain, selling their crypto investment in a loss. And once again, a new all-time high, major push, major sideways consolidation. And yes guys, all these major whales, being institutions, corporations, or even nations, they need a lot of selling volume, all these weak hands, to accumulate Bitcoin, because you can't buy anything which no one is selling. So that's why they need small investors, you, to sell your Bitcoin, and that they can scoop up in these huge amounts. Yes, we're getting some news that BlackRock sold on the top. Yes, they sold a small fraction, which they are going to accumulate all the way in these levels. This is just to get you out of the market by giving you the signal you should sell Bitcoin exactly now. No, this is exactly what they want. Once again, a major manipulation, this major capitulation. All these weak hands are selling into the markets so that these major institutions can scoop up these Bitcoins exactly at these levels where the most amount of people get scared. This is where you should accumulate or just even hold on to your Bitcoin. Don't sell them in the loss if you bought all the way up here, because this is what they need. Selling volume to buy in huge amounts. So don't get fooled. So let's go over to the first news article where I think that the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin is over and that we're not going to see a major dump exactly in these levels. Yes, this chart isn't updated we are exactly now at this 80,000 US dollar level, round about here. And yes guys, this could have been the end of the bull cycle. If we're going to look at the 4-year cycle, yes, history repeats, but we can't expect that Bitcoin is going to follow this pattern, because yes, the halving cycles, which are happening every 4 years, where the rewards for the miners are going to be cut in half, they have an effect on the price. But we saw that major institutions are entering the market, and we're going to look at exactly these previous 2 cycle tops, which are in the Bitcoin halving cycle and that we correspond to, because we have to keep in mind a lot of liquidity and institutions are entering exactly here. This makes Bitcoin different, and we can't rely on the 4-year cycle, because Bitcoin is getting a mature asset, which is traded on the stock market by major corporations. So let's go over to the news to find out what is exactly happening with all these major institutions entering Bitcoin, and then we're going to find out why this Bitcoin 4-year cycle might be over. And the first news article is from Stock Money Lizard. Bitcoin fills the fair value gap every single time. 2024 gap filled rally. Q1 2024 gap filled rally. Now the gap is filled. Yes, we can see a gap in the price movement from the stock market, where the price opens and closes for Bitcoin, and we always had these fair value gaps exactly here. And the price movement, like we saw in the weekly chart, came back all the way to a major pain, major capitulation, and afterwards we saw a major rally. And yes, I do believe that the exact same thing is going to happen, that we're going to see this major capitulation. All these major institutions are scooping up Bitcoin. We're going to see a continuation. But what is going to be even more important is, yes, time for some important education. Below is the US business cycle, the ISM. The circles peaked, directly match the Bitcoin blow of tops we have experienced. If Bitcoin had existed, all these peaks you would see in the US business cycle would have been the cycle tops. And yes, we're just going to focus on these previous 4, because these are exactly the highs of Bitcoin in the year 2021 and also 2018, 2017, this major blow of top exactly here. And yes guys, if we're going to look at this metric, then we can see, yes, the business cycle is just getting started, and we could expect a major pump. The business cycle is going to end in Q2 2026. This means through all this liquidity that is entering the market, through the rate cuts and even stimulus checks being deployed in the Chinese and also US markets, we could expect a major liquidity entering the markets, which is going to begin this major business cycle, which could mean that Bitcoin's top is going to be in 2026, round about Q2. But let's go over to the next article. Bitcoin to new all-time high in 6 months. If Google can do it, why not Bitcoin? Yes, we're going to look at Google from April, where we saw that the weekly 50 moving average, exactly this green line, was broken from Google. We saw this major sell-off and this major bull run. And yes guys, if we're going to compare Google with the price movement of Bitcoin, this is the exact same thing. We broke the 50 moving average, this green line, the average price from the previous 50 days, and we saw this major recovery and this major parabolic run for Google. So the same thing could happen to Bitcoin if we're going to see that the business cycle really plays out, and this is not going to be the top. Only this major capitulation for all these major whales to accumulate exactly here where the price movement of Bitcoin is at the moment, and this major fear. Because keep in mind guys, all these major players, they need your selling volume, because yes, this is the main reason why we aren't entering a bear market. Global liquidity is ready at all-time highs, and it's only set to increase. Yes guys, all these major institutions, they have bought the top. They bought exactly the top of the price movement of Bitcoin at the all-time high. So yes guys, don't sell, don't get fooled. If these guys are buying at the major top, this means they're accumulating and not selling, because overall guys, 80% of global central banks are currently in easing mode. This means a lot of liquidity is going to enter the market. The US is preparing 2,000 stimulus check. Japan is preparing 110 billion stimulus package, and China has approved a 1.4 trillion stimulus package. This liquidity is going to flow into risk-on assets like Bitcoin, gold, silver, yes guys, we could expect a major rally because the ISM is still below the 50 moving average. Yes guys, this is the business cycle, and once again, if we're going to look at the previous business cycle, this was 2021, where Bitcoin reached the all-time high exactly in this level. And yes guys, it perfectly lines up where the business cycle started. And yes, even the bull cycle before 2017 started exactly with a business cycle and saw this bullish move. So was this major bull market in 2021 and also 2017 not because of the halving and the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin, but with this major run in the business cycle, which marked this major parabolic run in 2017, exactly here, and also in 2021, exactly here. And if this is going to line up with the business cycle starting exactly now, we could expect that this bull cycle is only getting started, and we could expect that Bitcoin is still going to reach our bullish target round about the 250,000 US dollars. Yes guys, this would mean that this is only going to be the beginning and that this was just the final manipulation to get all the weak hands out before this next major parabolic run. And keep in mind guys, if you want to trade all of these moves on the spot market or on the leverage market, where I opened a long position on Bitcoin, Ethereum and also Solana, make sure to sign up to Blowfin, where you'll receive a major deposit bonus. And the good thing is you can trade without any KYC. So yes guys, make use of this free money and this major opportunity to trade Bitcoin before this next major pump. And yes, we're going to look at Bitcoin versus the M1 money supply, and we can see exactly here, we're just lining up for a next major breakout like we did exactly here in the year 2017, where the bull cycle started exactly here. And yes, the previous bull cycle is all the way up here guys. We didn't even reach a new all-time high, and if this pattern is going to play out, guys, this is only going to be the beginning of a major cycle, because macro Bitcoin tops always come with a blow off in the Z-score, and we can see that Bitcoin is far away from a blow off exactly here. And yes, this is not a bubble, this is just going to be the beginning, a bounce of this major support line and this major bullish run towards the upside. Because yes, if this was truly the top, it would be the first crypto cycle in history to peak without a Z-score warning spike exactly here. And yes, major whales and major entities, they're accumulating exactly here, because I think the 4-year cycle is dead and this is a new cycle that we're going to start. Because yes, even in the next news article, we can see that Bitcoin is going to see a major run, because Ron Paul is saying exactly the same thing. So let's find out what he has to say.
Why is Bitcoin sort of not wildly off to the races yet? And it's this chart. Bitcoin is basically, this is a detrended Bitcoin, and it's basically the ISM, which is the business cycle. Remember, we've always said it's the business cycle stupid. It is always the business cycle stupid.
Not
and all of these
4-year
people
cycle.
who claim it's the 4-year cycle based around this and that, they don't understand the fundamental of what the business cycle is, why there's a 4-year cycle in everything. And we've explained it. We'll go through it in great detail tomorrow in our Everything Code presentation. But basically, it's following the ISM. And rates have been following the same pattern. You see, rates should have come lower. They need to come lower because we need to roll the debt. We've talked about this. That's part of the Everything Code, fundamental part.
Money needs
and
to
ISM,
be printed.
because rates are so high, has meant that Main Street has been screwed while Wall Street's made money from debasement. Earnings versus scarce assets. This is the issue that they need to solve, and they need to get rates lower. They get rates lower. Why? Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other real other time? It's because, and I only just found this out redoing the work on the Everything Code recently, is that in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. We don't know what the next one will be until we see where they all end up getting refinanced, whether it comes back to 4 because they managed to get some stuff at the long end, or whether they shorten it because everything's in the short end. We don't know yet. But this one is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. The 5.4-year sine curve, 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt.
This
And it
brings
tells
us
us
all the way to mid
the ISM
2026.
should peak by 2026. We think liquidity probably peaks before that, as the rate of change of ISM changes and the rate of change of liquidity changes. Our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
Yes, and this is exactly what we've been talking about, the business cycle, which is just about to start, because they've changed it to 4 years to 5 years, and this has been always the case. Yes, Bitcoin is getting matured. This means institutions are entering the market, the stock market is here, and this is why this has to change. It is not going to be the same. Yes, maybe we could expect that the halving is still going to be a fundamental highlight and is definitely going to change something when it comes to mining and the scarcity of Bitcoin, new supply entering the market. So this is still going to be the case. But in the bullish case, with liquidity entering the market, Bitcoin being a mature asset, I believe that the 5-year cycle that we're going to see the bull market top round about 2026. And if you're selling exactly now, you're selling in the weak hands, your weak hands into the pockets of these major corporations, nations and institutions to accumulate Bitcoin, because keep in mind, Bitcoin is not an investment. It is a chance to regain freedom financially from no bank or government which can take your funds away. You can just use crypto as a means of payment or storing your value. You don't even have to invest in Bitcoin, but just keep your money in crypto, keep it safe from major banks and major governments that want to take your hard-earned money away. So yes guys, in the immediate short term, we could expect that we're going to form a base round about the 80,000 US dollars, but sooner or later we could expect that Bitcoin is going to reclaim these major levels. We're going to look at these levels. We're going to take the Fibonacci retracement tool. After I removed all of these drawings, we're going to take the Fib levels all the way from the top, the all-time high, all the way to the swing low at 80,800 US dollars roundabout, and then we can see that the next major levels are going to be the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement level, which perfectly lines up with a 13 moving average. This white line, this is going to be the first major set of resistance that Bitcoin needs to reclaim, and then obviously the 38.2 Fib level round about the 98,000 US dollars, and the 100,000 US dollars is going to be the psychological level that Bitcoin needs to break. And then comes the 61.8 being the tipping point where we could really say, yes, Bitcoin is now in a bullish trend after we broke the 61.8 round about the 108,000 US dollars. But ultimately guys, we could expect that Bitcoin is going to form a double bottom, a W formation, but I do expect from all these major institutions, all the people that know that the business cycle is just getting started, and we could expect this bull run not being over now, but in mid 2026. Guys, you need to be one step ahead. First of all, sign up to Blowfin, where you receive a major deposit bonus, where you can trade Bitcoin on the spot market, or even with leverage to trade the next move of Bitcoin. Yes, I answered all the way down here, so make use of this free money. Join my free Telegram group, links are in the video description below. But yes, I do expect that we're going to see a fast recovery for Bitcoin in the immediate short term, all the way to the 13 moving average to reclaim the 90,000 US dollars, and that we're going to be off to the races. So make sure to be my free Telegram group so that you always stay up to date, but most importantly, be for crypto, and we see each other in the next video.